Hey, welcome to the Richard Sherman podcast brought to you by The Volume. I appreciate you joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe to our videos. We'll love to see you every week.
We got to go out to the NFC West. I know you have a big affiliation in Seattle, rightfully so, but this is a team that is struggling. They need a win. Like, as bad as anyone else in this league needs a win. And unfortunately, they had to go to Kansas City to try to get it. And what did they net? 18 yards on their first 15 plays? Get down 17-0 right out the gates? Talk to me about the Seahawks. I mean, is there any hope with this team? There's still a fighter's chance, but is there any hope that they land themselves in the playoffs?
Well, it's concerning. I mean, they've lost 5 of the last 6. They can still make it. You know, the 2 last games against, I thought they would struggle in this game. Kansas City is rolling. They're hot. They're a championship team. They know how to play in November and December. If that Seattle won this game, that would have been a big-time statement that they're here and they've arrived. But Geno played solid. They, as you said, they struggled early on. Geno's a Pro Bowler. I can't wait to see how that pans out for him. I got a feeling the 2 New York teams will be calling, which is crazy because he played for both of them. But I guarantee you that the conversation will be a lot different this time around. Kenneth Walker Jr., played better than he had in the past. They got a little bit from the run game, but Patrick Mahomes was too much to overcome. That D-line, Chris Jones, 12th sack of the season. Quinnen Williams, and now they got to deal with Quinnen this next, the following week. And so that's going to be a whole nother beast. Very similar to Chris Jones and what he does. But it was always going to be tough, but it was a cold game. You saw the receivers come out with no shirt on, showing that they can handle the elements. But unfortunately, they just didn't execute well enough down the stretch. And, that would have been a good one to have.
Well, with the injury to Jalen Hurts, does Mahomes have the upper hand for the MVP race at this point in your perspective?
Yeah, Mahomes' race to lose. He's number one in just about every category: yards, touchdowns. Usually when you talk about MVP, it goes to the best player on the best offense. And he is that. They're number one offensively and scoring, yards, efficiency, yards per play, red zone, third down. The list is very long at what, the Kansas City Chiefs are the best in the National Football League at right now. But I still think everybody's saying, remembering them, kind of manhandling the 49ers defense, which nobody else has come close to even remotely doing. I still want to see that Super Bowl matchup, and I still have Nicholas John Bosa in the 49ers coming away with a win.
Well, sticking in the NFC West, I know you love the Niners. You've already said that. But they played against the Commanders, a team, again, another team absolutely desperate for a win. Every game matters to these teams down the stretch. And San Francisco didn't care. San Francisco dominated the game from start to finish. They forced them to pull Tyler Heineke. I know you love Heineke. I know you love Heineke. But, Rich, we're back to Carson Wentz. We're back to square one. Like, this late in the season, why do you make that move if you're Ron Rivera?
I don't know. I think he felt like the team needed a spark. I'm sure he had conversations with Carson about getting him another opportunity if things didn't go well. Obviously the San Francisco 49ers are a tough team to play against, but they must have saw something on film where he missed a couple guys or, just not getting them into the plays where they, not having the success that they were expecting. Carson came in there, gave him a definite spark, was 12 for 16 for 123, had a touchdown, was efficient. Scary Terry played well. But against the San Francisco 49ers defense, number one in the league in total yards, number one in a lot of categories, it was going to be tough, but it's just tough. I think Ron Rivera saw something. He wanted to make a change, and he did. We'll see what they do in the next game.
Well, they got the Browns next, and that is a huge, huge game for the Commanders. They got to win one of these games down the stretch. As much as I would love for him to lose out, being a Detroiter, unfortunately, the Lions got absolutely boat raced this game. But as much as I would love for Washington to lose out, I think they got a winnable opponent against the Browns there. But Brock Purdy, we talked about it, Mr. Irrelevant, going to be very, very relevant down this stretch. And you talked about it a couple of weeks ago. You said, what kind of conundrum would the 49ers organization be in? Would the fan base be in if not Trey Lance, not Jimmy G, but Brock Purdy was the golden child to bring this organization another Super Bowl. Richard, he is the second quarterback ever to win his first 3 starts with multiple TD passes. The first being Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. I mean, this guy has now entered conversations with Kurt Warner. Rich, he looks extremely capable. The Niners have not skipped a beat. Frankly, the resurgence of George Kittle down the stretch, he kind of had a couple pedestrian games there until Brock Purdy took over under center. What is Brock Purdy winning due to this organization's QB issue?
It makes it a lot tougher, Mitchell. It exacerbates the issue of sorts. The only quarterback whose jersey isn't being sold in the stores is the one that you got to worry about, Mitchell. That's unfortunate, but it's fortunate. It's one of those things where it's a good problem to have, I guess. He's been playing well. He's been playing confident. Obviously, bringing George Kittle back into the fold. We talked about that when Deebo Samuel went out, that George Kittle would be obviously utilized a lot more, and he has been. Brandon Ayuk has been steady the entire season, been rock steady on his way to potentially 1,000-yard season. And Mitchell, the defensive player of the year, front runner, Nicholas John Bosa, of course, 2 sacks. Of course, one of the sacks leads to a forced fumble and a turnover for his team, and obviously leads to points. Mitchell, every week they need a big-time play. Nicholas John Bosa makes it. 17.5 sacks on the year. My goodness. And my boy Jimmy Ward had to get him another pick. They say, hey, we need to get a playmaker out there. They kept the 2 safeties the same. Talanoa Hufanga and Tayshaun Gibson had too much chemistry, but you cannot take Jimmy off the field. And this is the reason why I made a heck of a play. Oh, my God, this defense is going to be fun to watch down the stretch, and they're getting better by the moment. Javon Kinlaw, welcome back to the fold. Huge goal line stand. Got in there. Huge play by him. Him and Eric Armstead are going to be tough to run on in the playoffs. That's why it concerns me if you're the NFC East, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, or you're the Philadelphia Eagles and think you're going to run the ball on this defense, you got another thing coming.
If Nick Bosa hasn't reached out to you to inquire about hiring you as his hype man, I think he should, because you've been pumping his tires from the inception of this podcast. I mean, you called it when we had our opening segment. You called him the defensive player of the year, and he's proven that week in, week out. I mean, the guy leads the league in sacks, another 2 sacks this week. Nicholas John Bosa, I mean, Rich, hats off to you.